Well, good afternoon. My name is Gary Wright. I'm chairman of your board of directors, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Thank you all for coming for the first quarterly meeting of residents with board of directors. And I just want to introduce those who are here. We have Paula Kelton. oh yeah. William O'Connor. And down below to your right is Elliot Wimberly and Beth Elkins. Thank you guys for being here. And I want to wish you all a very happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for being here.
Good afternoon. I love this time. You know, this is a time where we can thank you for joining us. We recognize the employee of John Knox Village of Central Florida who are celebrating important milestones of 5, 10, 15, and 20 years of service. This event gives us an opportunity to pause and express our sincere gratitude to the individuals whose hard work, dedication, and compassion help make the community such a special place. Their service supports not only daily operations of John Knox Village, but also quality of life, comfort, and care of residents' experience. We are proud to honor each group of employees for their years of commitment. Our 5-year honorees who already have made a meaningful contribution and continue to bring energy and dedication to their roles. Our 10-year honorees whose loyalty and experience have strengthened our organization in many ways. Our 15-year honorees who have demonstrated lasting commitment and have built strong relationships throughout the community. And our 20-year honorees whose long-term service has helped shape the culture and character of John Knox Village. To all our honorees, please know how much we appreciate you. Your hard work has directed and lasted impact on residents, families, and fellow team members you serve. On behalf of the board of directors, the leadership team, the residents, and the families, we thank you for your continued service and commitment to John Knox Village's mission. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you for all that you do.
Okay, we're celebrating 5 years of service. Efren Garcia, groundskeeper. Unfortunately, Efren is unable to join us today. Kevin Gordon Dumile, laundry aide, 5 years of service. Robert Radosti, security manager, 5 years of service. Betsy Ramos Martinez, server, 5 years of service. Diana St. Ledger Rody, housekeeper, 5 years of service. Raven Bisinduit, executive chef, 10 years of service. Unfortunately, Raven is unable to join with us today. Yolanda Formosa, Majestic Oaks dietary aide, 10 years of service. James Gagne, executive sous chef, 10 years of service. Tracy Lazowski, home health coda, 10 years of service. Eva Pimentel, Majestic Oaks, registered nurse, 10 years of service. Stephanie Boyd, Majestic Oaks, CNA, 15 years of service. Reynaldo Villanueva, dishwasher, 15 years of service. Vanessa Frederick, Majestic Oaks, LPN, 20 years of service. Unfortunately, Vanessa is unable to join us today. And Angelina West, Majestic Oaks, LPN, 20 years of service. Unfortunately, Angelina is unable to join us today. Thank you so much.
Well, back behind stage, we had a coin toss. And the kickoff for the first half is going to be Paula Kelton. Now, in favor, she said she was going to use the entire first half of the football, so she's going to keep it to 30 minutes. I'm teasing. I'm teasing. Please welcome Paula Kelton, Board of Directors.
Hi, everybody. Oh, yeah. Wow. I'm Paula Kelton, and I have been a board member here at John Knox Village for 10 years. And I thought that Bill should go first because he's been a board member a lot longer than that. So I want to tell you a little about myself, and then I want to tell you about why I serve on the board. I grew up in Western Massachusetts, and my undergraduate degree is in nursing. I have a bachelor's in nursing, and I've done just about every kind of nursing there is, from camp nursing to home health nursing, ICU, ER. I've been a director of nursing, and I moved to Florida in 1987, and I got my master's degree in healthcare management. For a long time, I worked for a hospital corporation and traveled to hospitals across the country that they owned and did things like risk management, help them with accreditation, help them to get ready for inspections by the federal government if something very bad had happened at the hospital. And I love healthcare. I think that we've done a disservice to the people of the United States in not having good access to health care, and I feel bad about that. But I love health care, and I love the good that we can do. 10 years ago, Taver and Joan Cornett invited my husband and I to dinner. And Taver, I didn't know, but I was auditioning, and he was recruiting for me to become a member of the board. At that time, John Knox Village was under a management contract, and he felt that he was chairman of the board, and he felt that the board needed some of what I had to offer in terms of the operations of healthcare and some of the things about accreditation and those kinds of things. They had some pretty smart people on the board. They had a doctor, and they had Bill. They had Bill. And if you haven't met Bill, I mean, I don't know who you are, because Bill knows everybody. And everybody I bring up, he goes, oh, I know them, you know. And I have loved serving on the board. I have loved it because I love those, when we recognize the employees, because every employee that I meet, I know, loves the residents. And they wouldn't be here. I mean, when you think about somebody working in a laundry for 10 years, It's the whole milieu, it's the atmosphere, it is you people. And I've watched the village grow. I've seen new people come in. You residents are very, very special people. And I know that because there's some people that retired and moved here that had worked here, Mr. Rudolph. And then there's the people, and then there's the people like Taver, who was on the board and moved here. As I say, it's a special place. I love serving on the board. I love working with these people that have a different perspective, and we all bring something to the table that's different. We lost the management company a few years back, and the board began to take on a different role. And it was interesting to me at that time. Taver, I believe, was still chairman. And what happened at that time is the residents wanted to know if we were qualified as board members to be overseeing the operation. We always felt like we had a fiduciary responsibility, but now we really needed to step up to the plate. The only person the board employs is Mr. Trainer, and it's his team, he hires his team, and we really set policy, and he carries it all out. And our board did step up to the plate. We've had some changes in our board, but we work really, really hard because we want this to continue to be the best place that it can be for all of you. And I've reached my 5 minutes, and Stan didn't even go, but I'm going to sit down now. But it's such a pleasure to be on a board and to serve you, and I want to thank Taver Cornett for that. Thank you.
Bill, I know everybody O'Connor.
I look good. Yeah, and that was a long time ago. I wish I looked like that still. Well, welcome everybody. It's great to be up here. It was fun today. Today I got to speak to the men's group at lunch, which was always a fun group. The gathering, I had a lot of fun. But I'm a product of the local neighborhood. I actually my dad was military, so I was a military brat, traveled around a lot. But actually we kept coming back to Orange City. My grandparents lived here. I actually did go to Orange City Elementary for a little while. I went to Deltona Middle School back then. It was called Deltona Junior High. And I actually graduated from DeLand High School. And upon graduation from DeLand High School, I joined the Navy because that was the only way you were getting out of Orange City. Following the steps of my father, who ended up putting 34 years in the Navy submarine service, and I followed his footsteps. Yes, he did. So I was there for the career. I had just made E7. I was up at Parris Island, Beaufort area when an incident occurred that ended up forcing me out, but I did medically retire. Came back to Florida again and decided to go to college, and actually went to Daytona State College back then. It was DVCC. Got an accounting degree at UCF. Went to Stetson University, received my master's degree, and ended up getting hired at Stetson University, where I worked for another 19 years as an accounting, running the Department of Continuing Education, and a program you guys are probably familiar. I took their Elder Hostel program from 10 programs a year to 150 programs a year all over the state, and we became one of the largest elder hostel providers in the country, which was wonderful. And so my love for working with seniors and education. And then the same thing that happened to you happened to me. I was on, as I was on at Stetson, I became the vice president of the chamber, president of Main Street, president of Fall Festival of the Arts, and we needed to find a new executive director for our Main Street, and we interviewed and hired Taver Cornett. And so he always tells me that for me getting him involved with Main Street, he was our executive director for many years and did a wonderful job, he got me on the foundation board. And I started on the foundation board for a couple of years, and then I was asked to move up to the board. One of the reasons why I love it is because, to me, this is my hometown. I was one of the brats riding a bicycle that would terrorize the neighborhood of Aldersgate. You know, we were young kids on bicycles, and this was woods, and we were riding our bicycles through here, and the old people were yelling at us, and the security was chasing us, and we weren't breaking anything. We were just having fun as kids. So over the years, it's been part of me. When I was in the military, back in the days, the military was a tough lifestyle. So I'd come home quite often to stay with my parents. A friend of ours, actually my brother's wife's family, owned Orange City Florist. And so I would come down during the holidays, and guess what I did? I delivered flowers to John Knox Village. And I would load up a bunch of flowers. And so I kind of grew up with the John Knox Village family, and I kind of enjoyed it. I did my career at Stetson University, had a good time. Retired from that and didn't know what I wanted to do. So I worked a couple places, and I finally figured out, let's just retire. I don't even know how long I've been on the board, honestly. I've never figured it out. It's 26, 27 years. It's been a great time. Like I said, watching this grow, this community grow has been absolutely amazing. I did spend some time. I got involved in politics. So my little sister always tells me that when I was 10 years old, I told her someday I'm going to be the mayor of Orange City. I didn't make mayor. I was vice mayor for 4 years and found out that was enough. I came to the conclusion that being on the board of director of John Knox Village is a lot sounder than being in politics in Orange City. And so after doing 2 terms as vice mayor, I got out of politics and stayed on board with John Knox Village. And actually, I've been enjoying retirement. Helped a friend of mine open the Ace Hardware up in DeBerry, and did that for a while. I have such a belief in this community and the way it's governed that last year, I didn't have them. I got my parents to move in here. And it was kind of funny at the luncheon. They said, that shows a lot of commitment to a board member when you know it's good enough for your parents. And it really is. And so I've met so many nice people over the years being on this board. And I really do enjoy it. When I get a chance to talk to people, growing up here, I've had friends that have actually retired from John Knox Village as employees. I still have friends that are still working here. That's why I get kidded about that. I know everybody because Orange City was only so big. And once you get into politics, you do get to know a lot more people. But I do consider this my hometown. I love being on this board. It's great with the people we meet. I still look at some of the future that we have coming. There are still some changes coming that are just going to make this campus even better. And like I said, we always make ourselves available. I just wanted to, my parents are here today. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for your support. And the only thing she said is, remember your name's O'Connor, so make sure I was wearing green. And she goes, is that the best green you got? And I said, no. So thank you all so much. It's a pleasure serving you, and we look forward to continuing to serve you. Thank you so much.
We are very fortunate to have both Paula and Bill on our board, and they are tremendous board members, as is Gary Wright as the chairman of the board. Now, the other 3 are still great, but you get to meet them next time. So, guess what? The results of the audit are in. And Cynthia, the chief financial officer, is going to share them with you. So, if you have toothpicks, put them in now. Okay? Please welcome Cynthia Polk.
People always think accounting and finance is so boring. I'm telling you, it's like the best part of my day. So, anyway, sea of green out there. Paula asked me, Cynthia, where's your green? Because there is none. Until I realized jewelry counts. So, there we go. All right, so we have the results of our independent financial audit from year ending December 31, 2025. Our independent audit is conducted by our accounting partner, Clifton Larson Allen. It was presented to our board finance committee in mid-March. The committee approved to accept the findings of the audit and will be presenting it to the full board tonight for final approval. The presentation material I'm going to be showing today is copyright CLA. I did get their permission to share it with you. And just keep in mind that this is I've been told I have 8.5 minutes, high-level overview of the audit. But I will be presenting it to your Resident Council Finance Committee on April 8th. That is a very long, involved audit presentation, and then after that it will be made available in the library. All right, so this is a representation of the scope of the audit. They do a report, our auditors do a report on the financial statements. They issue internal control letters, and then they also issue the required governance communication letters to the board. Of course, the financial statements are their way of saying whether these financials are good or not, and ours are. And then the internal communications letter, control letter, and the governance communication letters serve purposes of letting management know that if there's any issues that are identified, what they would recommend to fix them, and then also making sure that the board members are aware of any findings of the audit. This is some of their processes that they go through over the entire course of the audit. They're looking at internal controls, significant estimates, investments, our MLR reserve, anything that we're doing for accrued expenses, revenue recognition, our relationship and our interest in the foundation, our deferred revenue and refundable fees, and looking at property and equipment, just to name a few. At the end, our auditors will issue their findings in their communications letters. They will issue their opinion, and they will issue the results. So for our 2025 year, at least the 12th year, I think we at least went back and counted. We have a nice, good, clean audit. It is an unmodified opinion, which is the best result opinion that can be issued on the financials. It tells everyone these numbers are good and you can trust them. And then their audit results, that's where they would make any notations of any weaknesses or deficiencies or anything of that matter that they would find in the audit. And ours was found to be no material weaknesses is the official term. And that means that our financial controls are solid and that the company is managing its risks well. You bet. Yay. These are just some of their other steps and processes that they go through that are noted in the communications letters. They've noted that there's no corrected or uncorrected misstatements on the financial reports. CLA does, in their visual presentation and how they present the reports, they do make some reclassifications of accounting groups, but they do not have anything that has effect on the overall assets, liabilities, or on the statements of activities. They've also reviewed and made sure that there are no other matters and no other internal control findings, and they've identified that there were no subsequent events up through today when the board approves, so nothing can happen until like 5 o'clock today, no subsequent events. That's right. After 5, go for it, it'll be on 2026. So. These next two slides, I'm not going to go through them in detail, but I pulled them in. Again, it's just more items that when CLA is doing their governance communication to make sure items that they're pointing out, what their responsibilities are, their required processes, their findings, it just all circles around that. And then when they do the presentation that they give to our committee, not only are they going over their financial findings and results, but they also are presenting some very valuable industry information. Along with that, they're looking at industry trends, what's coming down the pike, anything to do with legislation. So it's really a really nice, well-rounded, full-circle presentation that they're giving connected with the audit. So now the fun part is the numbers. Yay! So we'll start first with our balance sheet. And this first slide is the assets section of the balance sheet. So we start with our grouping of our current assets at a little over $16 million. Current, we have current assets and current liabilities. Current refers to within a year or less time frame that we would be expecting activity to be occurring within those accounts. Our assets limited to use at $11.7+ million. That fund is our minimum liquid reserve that we are required to have by the Office of Insurance Regulation. We cannot touch that money. It is in reserve, required by OIR for essentially end of the world, dire straits times. So we don't expect to really be touching that money or using that money for anything. Our property and equipment net, what that means is it is the value of the equipment originally purchased minus the depreciation that we have taken against the value of that equipment and property, so that's where you get the net, and that's now valued at $129.8 million plus. We recognize the beneficial interest of the foundation, which is a little over $8.9 million. We recognize this here because we do not do consolidated financial statements with the foundation, but they are our supporting organization, so because of that, we do have to recognize the connection and the interest that they have in us and we have in them. And then other assets come in at $376,000. Next is the balance sheet for the liabilities and the net assets section. Again, we have current liabilities. Those were valued at $3.1+ million. Again, their activity is going to be occurring within a year or less. We have our entrance fees valued at $78+ million. That is broken out between the refundable and the deferred. The difference is that the refundable, with this amount being as of 12/31, would be if in some unknown, weird circumstance, all of our residents simultaneously left John Knox, that would be the liability that we would have for the refundable portion of the remaining contracts. The deferred part of the revenue is no longer the refundable part and is being amortized and recognized as revenue over the life of the resident. We have our net assets section, which is valued at $161+ million. This is kind of the easy way of showing, simple way of showing what is left over in the assets after all the liabilities are obligated and addressed. This also includes the value of the foundation as well, which is why we have some sections that are designated with or without donor restrictions. A good bit of what comes in through the foundation will have some donor restrictions with it. Next is our statement of operations and change in net assets. And this starts with the revenue and expense section of that overall statement. Our revenues came in at a little over $64 million. Our expenses came in at a little over $52 million. And the math on that goes to an operating income of $12+ million. The audit standards of how they group and present and report the financial categories, they include entrance fee revenue and investment income in the revenue, and they also include depreciation expense in the expense. Our internal financial statements, those three categories we consider to be non-operating because we do not rely on those to meet our needs of our daily ongoing operating needs. So that difference would change our operating revenue to $4 million, but it increases what the net the non-operating income would be on the other side. And the income, non-operating income and net assets, the non-operating income recognizes the investments in the unrealized gains, the other income. Most of that other income that you see up there of the $1.6+ million was for insurance claim reimbursement we got from the 2024 Hurricane Milton. And then it goes into the sections for the change in assets. Again, this is where we bring in the accounting from the foundation and takes us to the total change in net assets of $19.7+ million. And when you add that to the beginning of the year net assets of $141 million, We get to the end of the year, $161 million, which we saw on our balance sheet. And other than that, I got to give credit to our audit team at CLA, headed by Dan Wolf and his team with Jennifer Kramer and Mohammed Hamed, and the required CLA disclosures since I am using their presentation. And other than that, that's the audit.
Questions?
Oh, I didn't allow for question time.
I'll bring her back so you can ask her questions. That is what we have. I will be, tomorrow, I will be doing my chat at 9:30 sharp and share some more information with you. But thank you for coming. We appreciate that. Thank you for recognizing our employees. You have a great day, and please, live the St. Patty's spirit. All right, have a great day.